Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Sorry about the delay today. Uh, the, there's some kind of Windows update, and then everything got screwed up with my setup here. But anyhow, thanks for everyone for sending your images in. Welcome to my photo editing live stream where I edit your photos using DxO Photolab 8. And they're running a promotion now. They ended their Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal, and now they're doing if you buy 2 products, it's 25% off. So I might talk about that more in another video or something, but I just wanted to make you aware of that, and I'll have my affiliate links down below so you can check it out. But just long story short, if you're going to pick 2, I would go for DxO Photolab 8 and Nik Collection. Those 2 really, I think, give you the most bang for the buck, right? Photolab 8, of course, is a good deal, even when it's not on sale, in my opinion. But to get Nik Collection at a discount, they only do that once in a while, like Black Friday and stuff. So I think they're starting to see the value of their products, and we're not going to see like this 50% off deal that we used to get a couple of years ago. So that said, I got a bunch of pictures in, and I don't know if any came in the last 15-20 minutes since I downloaded, but let me see if I can pull up the screen. Oh, I have Photolab 8 closed. God, I restarted my computer like 6 times this morning, trying to get everything back to the way it was. I don't know what it is with the Windows update. Every time, not every time, but sometimes there'll be an update, and it just throws everything I have out of whack. Okay. Oh. Of course, DxO Photolab has an update now too. I'm trying to pull this up. We'll just skip it for now. But it looks like they're supporting the XM5, the M11D, the new Panasonic bridge camera, and the ZVE-10-2 now. We'll do that later. Sorry, let me get this screen out of the way. And yeah, there's the there's the deal. I guess they're putting that up. But okay, here we go. So we're going to start here from one from Jimmy. And one second. Let me go back to the live real quick. I just want to check the chat window real quick, and then we'll get started. I promise. I'm sorry. I know people that watch this after the stream is over. This part is not as interesting. Okay. All right. So, Shri is here. How you doing, Shri? Good to see you. And Paul Crisp, good to see you. Garrick and Dudley Rose. And let's see. And Garrett says, try to become a member, but it says, oh, I don't know. Don't worry about it. Just being here and submitting your images is enough support as it is. I do appreciate you guys sending them in, because it gives me a lot of practice and an opportunity to see images from different camera systems and lens combinations, and really enjoy seeing the photography from around the world, literally. And William says there still needs to be looking outside the computer backs and open up mobile units. I'm not sure what. Oh, I missed the first part of that. Good afternoon from Faroe Islands. So clear weather, but really hope to stay clear tonight. Meteor shower peaks around. Wow, so nice. So nice. Okay. And I noticed there was a saving on an upgrade too. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I didn't even look into it that deep. I just saw the email this morning. They had sent it to me yesterday about the discount. So I'll have to read that, and then maybe I'll do a short video later. But okay, let's get into why everybody's here and start doing this. And I'm going to try and oh, my little webcam is not popping up now. Can I turn off? Okay, I can turn off the chat. Dang it. Let me check one more thing. I'm sorry. We will start, I promise. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we go. And I will just resize it a bit. Okay. Not that you need to see my face for these, but okay. So oh, you're saying they should make it apps available for mobile units. Yeah, that's way down the line, I think. Okay. Let's start here with Jimmy. So let's see, we have kind of a cityscape here. So clearly we need to straighten the horizon. So I'm going to apply basic preset, which is again optical corrections and denoising. And I'm going to try and verbalize my thought process and the settings that I'm using and the sliders so that you know what and why I'm doing it. So I'm going to talk a lot, and I got some water here just in case I get all dry mouth. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. And this might be one I can do an auto correction. So I always like to work on the composition first. And the auto correction seemed to work there. And then we'll do perspective correction. Okay, that disables the horizon. So let's disable that and just use perspective. Okay. So I always like to work on the composition first, like, straighten the horizon, maybe doing some crop, excuse me, and then trying to find some balance between the different elements in the composition. And so we definitely have, really we only have two layers here. We have the foreground, which is the lake with this building, and then the background with the cityscape. But if we look a little deeper, there's actually three layers here. So putting the cityscape all the way in the background, the tree line sort of in the middle, and then this being the subject in the front. And there's a little bit of a reflection here of the, looks like the cityscape or the trees. Yeah, probably this tree and this tree. I don't know if I can bring that out more. So I'm going to try that first. But there's a little bit more in this scene than I really need. So I'm going to do a linear, what are they, control line, which allows me to mask a little bit. Okay, that's kind of interesting. We got a little color back in the water. So I'm going to pull the contrast back a little bit. On that side and a little up on that side, because I don't want to lose the ambience of this like very soft look. But I do want to bring in a little more dynamic range. So let's do the same thing and see if we can get a little bit back in the sky. I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt there's anything going on in the sky here. Yeah, very little. It looks like there's some, but not enough to worry about. So what I might do is just bring the highlights in just a little bit, and just a little bit of little bit of clear view there. Okay. And I like the verticals in this scene, but it kind of lends itself. Let's see what a 16 by 9 is. And I want to try to get rid of some of the excess here. Like I said, because there's nothing in the sky, but I like the reflection in the water. Okay. We'll go with that. And it's still a little bit off on the horizon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something here. Let's use the concrete. I just feel like it's a little bit off. Okay, that feels a little better. All right. And then I think there's a little color in the trees here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some details back on these trees and try not to affect the background. So I'm going to use just local control points for that. And I'll do that either with clear view or some micro contrast. Like that. And then I'm going to just bring the exposure down globally, because there's a couple of street lamps that I saw in here that I'd like to kind of give a little bit of life to, because it looks like they're on. Like, no, it's not on, but I always like to give a little bit of life to street lamps if I can. So I'm going to add a new control point and just brighten that area up like that. And then draw a little bit down in here near the base, and then we'll just warm it up slightly. And then see if there's any more in here. I guess that's the only one. But we can probably do the same thing for the windows here. Just give them a little bit of life. Maybe that window and this window. Okay. So for the windows, we need a little bit more in the shadow area. Expand that out a tiny bit. And I'm going to add some clear view. Just to give them a little bit more pop. Okay. I'm going to check in here. What is this? This is the M5 Mark III. God, there's so much detail in this. There's a little bit of a light there and a light there. Okay, let me pull it back a little bit. a little less white balance. Just make these a little smaller. All right. And then a very, very soft brush. And I'm going to turn the flow way down and the opacity way down. And just draw a little bit of light like that. And bring it up. Just right behind there. Okay. Not bad. Pull it back a little bit. So before and after. Image a little bit dark. Okay, let me pull this in and push the shadows a tiny bit. Okay, and then globally, I'm going to cool it off. Just give it a more wintry vibe, but then keep the center nice and warm. And then this light, let's do, sorry, I made it so small. I'm just going to add a little bit more light there. And a little bit of warmth. Okay, I don't know. It's still crooked, so I got to straighten it. And we'll come down here and make the horizon in the center. All right. I think I'll call it there. So let's do a before and after. This is a little bit hot. I should probably turn that down a little, but this feels a little better to me. I mean, I like the composition a lot better because obviously this one's crooked and there's just a lot of negative space here that I don't think is necessary. But I think that looks good, and then cooled it off a bit. So that's a tough one though. I wish I could have done more to make this stand out a little better. I don't know if I can. Let me try this color wheel. Let me grab a color in here. And just bring that up a bit. Okay. I think that kind of works. And this one brush I did, just going to get rid of a little bit there. Okay, Jimmy, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure who this was from. This was, oh, this might be from Gary, I think, because there's no name on here. I downloaded this directly. All right. Let's go to the next one, and I'll do 3 images, and then I'll get to the comments, and then do 3 and come back to the comments. I think that's a good pattern there. So, okay, so we have a Christmas tree here from William. What is that? Is that the moon? Okay, so let's try and highlight the moon a little bit. Let me apply basic preset. Let's see what we're working with here. The OM1 with a 12 to 40 Pro. I would have liked a little more headroom on top, but you're already at 12 millimeters. Wow, f16. Wow, why did you do a long exposure on this? I'm curious. So I'm just going to brighten this up and see what's in here. Okay. That's good. I'm not crazy about this part. You're here, William. William, tell me why you did 8-second exposure on this. I'm just curious. It doesn't look like a scene that would need one. So I'm just going to crop in and move the tree over to the right. And let's back this off a little bit. Like that. Let's get rid of whatever that is. Do repair. Okay. Oh, I get it. You want to do starbursts on the Christmas lights. Okay. I got you. All right. So we'll try and amplify that a little bit. I don't know. If that's helping or not. Okay. Yeah, zoom lenses aren't great at doing starburst in general. I mean, this one's not terrible, but it's if you used a prime lens with fewer aperture blades, maybe you'd have probably got a little more starburst, but I'm sure you know that. Okay, let me do some local control points. See if I can make this glow a little bit more. And let's try a control line somewhere in here. Okay. And then let's do a control point on these reds and just saturate those a bit. And I'm going to minimize the foreground in here. Okay. And then this, let me see if I can pull the highlights down. There we go. We'll make these just smaller. Pull this one in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to export this one because I pulled up almost 5 stops of stuff. Original image folder, let's do that. As sRGB, preserve color details. Okay. Let's export that because since I pushed the sky so much, I want to try and, I pulled up a lot of the noise that's in the shadows. So I'm going to pull down, or I'm going to export it with a denoising. I think I did denoising. Yeah, D prime. This is all good. And we'll see how that looks. And let's reset this one and compare it to the output. Okay, so that's the before and after. And I guess the idea being is if you print this a little bit larger, you'll be able to see the starbursts, such as they are. And now I feel like, yeah, you're getting the scene as you probably would have seen it with the naked eye. But I think that looks a lot better. And I like the contrast of that blue sky with the greens, especially here with the reds. This blue and this red, I think looks really good. What I might do is just fix that one little spot there. It's a little bit of flaring, but other than that, I think that's a pretty decent edit of that scene. Okay, let's go to the next one. And we have some glassware here. And this big old ugly branch. But I guess you could look at it like a juxtaposition of nature and glass in a creative way. So maybe let me apply basic preset first, and then I need to straighten the thing. Let's see if perspective gives us a good, yeah, perspective works pretty well. And got these reds and blues, this yellow, and this is a little bit bright. Let me just pull the exposure down a bit globally. Okay, so this is still really bright and standing out, and then also the background is standing out, and I think the subject here is just kind of hidden. That's why it's not really standing out even when the exposure is kind of normal. So I think I need to minimize this branch. I like this egg. And then try and take advantage of this background to some extent. So what I might do, I think I'll get rid of this. Maybe just go in on this one window. Of course, I hate to lose the egg. Let me crop in a bit. Again, I feel like right in here. It's okay. I think I'll just go ahead and trying to balance the scene a little bit. This little plant in the window is interesting too. I like this plant, but it's a little bit... Okay, let's go with that. All right, so I need to straighten this out a little bit. Maybe just bring it forward a little bit and a little bit more tilt. Okay. Now, I'm going to try and only affect these oranges. So I'm going to move the eyedropper onto the orange. Let's tighten up the chroma mask. And then just bring the exposure down. Maybe some of the highlights. Because I don't want it to be, it's almost like 3 or 4 times brighter than the foreground. We'll do the same thing with the yellows. No. Make a new one. And this time we'll tighten up the luminosity and the chroma. And just pull those down just a hair. Okay, about a half a stop there. And then let's do a new control line and just darken the foreground. About there, okay. And then the blues. All right, so I want the blues to stand out more. So I'm trying to think, maybe I can try this hue mask. Let me see if I can tighten this up a little bit. I don't want this really in this area. So get rid of this. Oops. Make this. Make this brush a little smaller. Okay. Oh, why is my mouse? All right, there we go. Let me just push this a little more. Give it some clear view. And let me hide the mask. Some contrast. All right. Maybe not quite that bright. Right about there, about 1 stop more. Push the highlights a bit. Maybe the midtones a little bit. Yeah. And then one more on the egg. Just pull the highlights in a bit and give it a little clarity or clear view. It's a micro contrast. And this brush, and I got a very low flow and opacity, but this branch is just still a little bit too strong. Let's see if I can soften that up a bit. All right, I think I'll call it there. Maybe just a little bit warmer here. Okay. So we don't really need to export this one. It's pretty clean. But there's the before and after. So again, again, I tried to make the glassware the subject and point of interest of the photo. And the problem is it's the darkest thing in the image. So making it brighter and shinier and glossier, hopefully that brought it out more. And then just cropping in sort of these miscellaneous elements, like we don't really need to see the sky over here or a lot of the front here. But I do want to kind of keep this one, excuse me, this one stick in the scene. Even though it's kind of weird, it is kind of visually interesting in of itself. But yeah, I think that works out. That works pretty well. So there's the before, and there's the after. Okay, that's 3 shots. So let me check the chat real quick. Of course, I don't know why. There we go. Let's see. Peter walked in. How you doing, Peter? And yeah, I used a bush as a tripod, so that was on a Christmas tree. That makes sense, but it wasn't terrible. We just had to kind of darken it a little bit. And T-Dob says, I have the newest DxO Photolab 8 Elite, and I would like the luminance function that's applied with the film pack add-on, but I don't want to pay for the film pack. Only do bird, wildlife. Yeah, Photolab 8 has the luminance feature now, I think. So if you go here, I thought this was right here. I'm pretty sure that is part of DxO Photolab 8 now. I don't think that's part of Film Pack. So you can use this. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember where the luminance button was before. Maybe that was it. But I think this is part of Photolab 8 now. But if that's not the case, let me know. Because the problem is I have Film Pack installed. And it's hard to differentiate what's part of Film Pack and what's not when you're in Photolab 8 because they integrate it. But I think that's all you need to do. Okay, and then I normally use 8mm f8 Pro. Yeah, I don't recall what the f8 Pro does. I have it, that lens. I haven't used it much. I've been thinking about selling it because I've had it for years now and I just never use it. And And then there's a little bit in between each other. And Garrett says, what happened to the images now as they're not showing up when I go back in the Photolab? Not sure if I accidentally hit any key. But the images are still in the, okay, so what I would do, Garrett, is check your filter icon here, down here in the bottom left, and just go all the way up here and click reset and see if that brings them back. Let me know if that worked. And Maurice just sent a photo. Okay, if there's time at the end, I'll grab it. Just remind me. I learned a lot with you. Did with my blue glass photo. Okay, great. I'm glad that helped, Dudley. And mine says it's not part of film pack when you hover over the luminance button. Okay. So I think you're okay. I think that's the same tool. I just don't remember, because I remember seeing it before they put it in Photolab 8, but I think it's included now. But I'll check that towards the end. And William is here. Oh, the chat jumped way up here. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so let's go to the next image. One of these buttons. There we go. So this is from John. So it's probably this Nikon. Yeah, the Nikon Z8. My buddy Walter just bought the Nikon Z8. He's happy as can be. He has the Z9 already, but he traded his Z7 in to get the Z8. Oh, and a 35 1.S. Nice lens combination. So we have okay, so luminance is part of the film pack when you click it. You don't have film pack. Okay. All right, so I'll talk about that a little bit. So if you don't have luminance available to you, there may be some other options. Let me look into that. I may not be able to get to it during the stream, but I think there are some options to do something very, very similar. Okay. Okay, so let's apply my basic optical denoise preset. And so I see we got a nice crop already. I'm just not sure. I think I can crop in even a little tighter. Maybe right in here, because there's going to be plenty of detail with a camera like this to do that. But I kind of I like this branch. Maybe a little bit of the bottom, maybe. Let me give this some thought. What I might do is just get rid of the ground. Yeah, because the problem I have with the ground is it's kind of on a hill, and that's kind of distorting my view of this scene. I might be able to come in a little bit tighter even and see what would be best. I think right in here is the most interesting part. So what I'm going to do is let me pull the exposure down and see. So this has a similar problem as the glass scene, where the subject is kind of the darkest thing in the photo, and then the background is brighter. For some, that's okay sometimes, but for this scene, I think it's better to have the foreground brighter than the background. So I'm going to try another control line. I'm going to move this pointer to somewhere there, like that, so that I'm masking mostly the brighter areas, and I can tighten that up with that. So T-Dots, you can do luminance masking with the control lines, control points, using these sliders here. It's not quite exactly the same as the, these buttons up here, but it's a start. But I'll see if I can find another option for you to get even more granular. That would be closer to those other luminance buttons. Okay, so let me pull the exposure down in a linear fashion first. I'm still getting too much of the tree, so I'm going to tighten the mask even more. Okay. All right, so that's a little better. Let me just check. That helps a little bit. Maybe pull in the blacks. Because what's happening is it's getting a little bit too soft. Okay, I think that's all I can do. And then let me do a new control line and just hit, or I'm not, sorry, not control line, but control point, and just hit some of the highlights on the tree. We'll tighten up the chroma mask this time. I'm just exaggerating the brightness a little for now, so I can see where it's going. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring this back again. And let's push it gradually, tone by tone. And then give it a little bit of more warmth. There's a little bit in here. Okay. All right. Might have. Let's go with that. And then we'll do the opposite. So we're going to tighten up the luminosity mask and just pull the shadows a little bit, just in a few places. Okay. And then let's cool it off a little bit. Dang it. Maybe a little bit on the chroma. Okay. And I don't think Clearview is going to do much there, but we'll do a little bit. All right. What I'm trying to do is just make the scene a little more dynamic and make the light just a little bit less even. Okay. I don't know if I can come up. Maybe about there. And then make a new control line. And we'll do it from this side. And I'm selecting more of the greens, or that's what I'm trying to do. Let me blend that in. Let's just give a little bit of push to the midtones and highlights here. And okay, almost there. Maybe just a couple of harder spots down in here. I'd like to just get rid of some of these brighter spots. Tighten up the chroma and luma mask. Okay. This one, yeah, that's fine. And then let's cool it off a little bit too. All right, and then on a global side, just do that. Just do more of a global. Oh, this is getting too dark now. Which one was that? Was this one? Let's make these. Okay. Do that. And then the only other thing, maybe just soften it up a bit. A little bit of push. All right. I think I'll stop here. It's a little bit too warm. So just back off globally a little bit. What we need are, okay, we need one more thing. We need some more reds in here. So let me tighten up the chroma mask. Just need a little bit more reds in here. So let me see, maybe of just a vibrance push. Let's go to the reds. A little bit more push. A little bit on the white balance because there's kind of a green tint there. How about up in here? All right. I'm going to stop here because I could spend a lot of time, but I would go back and do every branch and separate the reds and greens a little bit more. This spot just needs, I just need a little bit more light in here. Okay, let's do a before and after. Damn it. Highlights are a little bit strong here. That control point. Back that off a little bit. All right, I'm going to stop there. Okay, so let's look at it. All corrections without geometry. There. So that's the original here on the left. And this is my edit here on the right. I would definitely have to spend some more time on this. The highlights are still a little bit too strong. Like right here. I don't know if maybe just a little push. Yeah, that's not doing it. But a little bit of push here and there. Okay. So let's do this full screen. Why is it doing it? Corrections without geometry, right. I'm sorry for jumping back and forth. I keep looking at it. I'm just not quite content. This is just too yellow. Not in a good way, though. So that's the before. That's not bad, just straight out of camera. But this is the after. And clearly, I'm just trying to bring out more detail and separate the tones more. I'm just not quite happy with it. I like the crop, though. This crop works for me. This entire frame is a little bit too much. But this crop works for me. I'm just not happy with the edit. I'm so sorry, John. But that's the best I can do. This is one of those images I'd have to walk away and come back, you know, like the next day and look at it again. Because there's a lot of potential here. I'm just not able to grab exactly what my vision is. But I think that works. That crop works. I'm happy with the crop, but the editing I'm not too happy with. It's this particular point. Yeah, that's not doing it. But okay, that's the best I can do. Oh, thanks, John. Boy, you always send these really hard edits with the trees. Okay. Yeah. Oh, hey, John, you're here. So you like the edit. So you kind of got the gist of where I was going, right? I like that crop, and I love the 35 millimeter focal length as well. Okay. All right. Let's do an owl. This is low hanging fruit for me because I do this kind of edit all the time. I don't normally do edits of trees, although I love trees. I just don't take a lot of pictures of trees and edit them. But I think we can go with just a standard crop. Oh, well, let me apply basic preset first. And then we'll do this crop. We just need to get rid of this, whatever this is down here, fence line or something. And just come in nice and tight. I'm going to try smart lighting. Okay. And we're going to push the shadows. We can pull the highlights a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can separate this owl. I'm going to try I've never been a big fan of this auto masking tool, but I'm going to try it because this is pretty distinct. There's good separation visually to me that this tool might actually work. I mean, it's fine for much simpler subjects, but let's see how that did. Pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to hit the Alt key on my keyboard and just soften up this area. And then bring in this part. It missed a little there and a little there. And a little bit on the wings. Let me get in a little tighter. Okay, good. And a little tighter here. So when you're using the auto masking tool, if you zoom in and make the brush effectively smaller, you can kind of clean up some of the spots that it missed. All right, that's pretty good. And this part, I guess that's part of the owl. I think we're good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just brighten the owl up. Let's do about 1/3 of a stop. Then we'll push the highlights. Definitely the midtones. Pull the blacks in for a little contrast, and then definitely some micro contrast, just to bring out the detail, the fine detail in the feathers. Okay, and then let's work on the eyes. And as I always say, birds, I like to do eyes, beak, and talons. Yeah, plus sign, right? Yeah, there we go. And see what's in here. Yeah. So the eyes are pretty much black. So I don't want to push it too much. Okay, that's good. So it makes the face overall brighter. Let's do a separate one for the beak. And we'll just do some clear view and a slight push. Let me tighten this up a little bit. I'll do that. And we'll spread that a little bit more. And then for the talons, I don't want to change the brightness, but I want to see if I can just give them a little bit more definition. So we're going to tighten up the Luma mask a bit and just try clear view. Okay. Maybe just a little push on the brightness. And then I can see the auto mask kind of spilled over a little bit here. So I'm gonna clean this up. Okay, good. All right, let me see where we're at. Okay, good. And then globally, just a little bit of, what am I thinking? A little bit of warmth. So we're at 50. Let's just push that tiny bit. And we'll do a vibrance push down here, just on the, let's select the color. I just want a little bit more color on the owl. Okay. I think we're done. Maybe a slight tilt. Nope. We'll leave that. We'll leave it. Let me fix the masking brush here. So I'm going to turn the flow down and opacity down. And just erase that. One more stroke. Okay. Maybe a little bit in here. One more stroke. One more. Okay. And then let's just give the background a little more dynamic. Just a little bit of more dynamic look to it. Just bring that in. And then a new one up here. Just very lightly. Make that a little brighter. And just tiny bit warmer. Maybe a little bit of green. No. Okay, let's stop there and export this. I need to export this because it's a little bit noisy. Everything looks good here. Okay. And then I'll do one more edit and answer this question or go back to the chat. Okay. Let me reset it. Compare it against the new edit. And okay, so I think DxO did an awesome job here. Yeah, that looks really good. Because in this image, obviously, it's a little bit underexposed, which makes sense because you don't want to clip the details in the feathers. And then all we had to do is just brighten the bird. So I did that with the auto mask. The auto masking tool is, you know, it's a tough tool to use because it doesn't do a great job. But on this particular scene, there was visually a very distinct difference between the bird and the background. So the auto masking tool was able to handle this pretty well. But let's do a full screen and just kind of compare. So this edit I like, but that's because I do bird edits all the time. So I was able to get this pretty quickly up to speed of where I like it. And if we zoom in, you can see how much detail it brought in and how much noise it got rid of. So if I do it this way, it's like just a huge difference here, right? Okay. Awesome, awesome. All right, let's go to, we'll do one more and then I'll get to the chat. All right, so we have another scene here from Jimmy. And wow, foreground is really silhouetted out almost. So let me just put a basic preset in. And I'm just gonna push the exposure to see what's in the scene. Look at that, another freaking update. All right. I don't know if these rocks and this path is worth saving. There's just so much in the scene that we don't need. And what do we do this with? F11 at, wow, you're zoomed in all the way to 123. So that's why it looks a little odd. I was just wondering, it looked compressed to me. But I get it. Okay. I'm going to try a couple of different ideas on the composition. So we can kind of come in this far. Maybe bring it in on this. Whoops. Bring it in on this side. I don't know. I don't like that. And then the other thing I was thinking is doing a vertical Okay, this is not bad. Let me just look at a horizontal again. Okay, so for me, whenever I see a path, I always like the path to lead to a point of interest. But in this case, the path is going out of frame. And that's okay sometimes, right? But I don't want it, I want it to be, see if I can layer this somewhat. I don't want it to be the dominant thing in the image. I think this vertical works better because everything on the left and right of this particular house is yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me. I think something in this range makes a little more sense. So now the path is just acting as a you know, point of where you would be standing to look at this house. Because if I was walking this path, that would be what would be drawing my eye is, gosh, who lives there? What a beautiful place to live, right? They're right there on the water. So let me just get rid of that little distracting corner. And we'll go with this, maybe a slight tilt. Just very, very slight right there. And then let's see what we can do with the sky. So I'm going to use a control line. Whoops. I meant to grab this and bring it up into the sky. And just push the clear view. It's a little bit of a rainbow in there, it looks like. Do that. See if the contrast brings it in. See the vibrancy. Okay, and then I'm going to add another control line just for the very top. And I'm going to cool that off just to give it a little blue sky. Okay. Let me angle this a little bit. All right, good. Pretty happy with that. Get this house. I need to pull that back a little bit, either the highlights and saturation. Just a little bit too strong. And then the tree next to it, I think could use just a little bit of help here. Maybe some contrast, because I want to bring out the branches. Okay. And then that needs a little bit less as well. Okay. And the scene overall, just a bit too warm. So I'm going to cool it off just a tad. Bring in a little bit of the greens. Okay. All right, this foreground needs a little bit of work. Let's create a new control point. Just look what's in here again. Tighten up the luma mask. And warm that up. Okay, and then let's give it some definition with maybe some micro contrast, a little bit of clear view, just a little bit there. I'll back off the overall contrast. Let's warm that back up. Bring in a little bit of the greens. All right, I think I'll stop there. So I'm going to export this one. And let's do reset and compare. Okay, so yeah, this image on the right, this is all just negative space. The sky is not too dramatic or that interesting. The foreground has a path leading off to the left, which takes the viewer out of the frame. So what I tried to do was, this looks a little crooked, but you know, I just wanted to focus on this house. So bringing out the branches on the tree here, adjusting making the house stand out a little bit more, and then bringing out whatever drama I can from the sky. Now, unfortunately, you know, it looks really hazy, so I wanted to bring back some of the blue in the sky to kind of match the water down here, because the sky was probably pretty blue for the water to be like this, I would think. But I think that works. So if we do just a quick full screen, you can see this image just feels like it has a little more depth and layering and all of that stuff. And it brings in just the important things that are in this huge scene, right? Because there's certainly a lot of interesting things everywhere, but they're all tiny, right? The tree line is too small. There's nothing in the sky, and like I said, the path just takes you out of the frame. So I think this composition works a lot better, at least to me. Okay. Good deal. I think that came out pretty good. All right. Let me check the chat. I thought I saw a couple comments. I just want to get into the chat a little bit. Yeah, I tried that earlier. Photolab says doesn't. I think I've run into this issue before. Jared, if you could email me, rob@robtrek.com, okay? You know, it's just Rob. Just email me with the same question, okay, to remind me, because I'm going to forget. And I'll try and look at it after the stream, but I'll forget if you don't send me an email. But I've run into this problem before. and I'll have to play around a little bit with the folders. And I assume you're on a Windows PC. If you're on a Mac PC, I'm not sure I can help you much. But if you're on a Windows PC, I might be able to fix this problem. If I can recall how I did it, because I did run into this. I was like, the folder's right there. There's images right there. Why is it when I click on, you know, the folder in Photolab, it's not showing me the images that my Windows Explorer is showing me? But I can't remember how I resolved that issue. Or maybe it fixed itself, but just remind me later and I'll be able to concentrate a little bit more on that question. Let's see. Close DxO and try my last instruction. It should open DxO with the library of all photos. Okay, so T. Dobbs may have the solution. And you are using Windows, I see. Okay. So what did T. Dobbs say? Go to Windows Explorer file and right-click on the raw photo and then choose Open in Photolab. Oh, okay, okay. I don't think that's what I did. All right. Looks good. Try mine. Okay. Yeah. While I'm here, I'll download yours. And it says, thanks for the edit. Oh, okay. That was from before. And Naturado is asking, what's the difference in contrast? Okay. So the best way to explain this, it's basically separating, or it's creating contrast at different frequencies, right? So when you do regular contrast, it's looking at a different frequency than micro contrast. And by frequency, I mean, let's say you have three sticks, okay, or three lines, and you have a black line, a gray line, and a white line, okay. So you have gray, you have black, middle gray, and white, or slightly off white, just for the sake of conversation, right? When you do global contrast, right, the normal contrast, it's going to adjust the brightness of these three lines in a very more gradual way, more linear, okay? So that when you increase the contrast, the black can only be black, right? So it's already gone. The gray will start to go darker, closer to black. And the white line will go more white, okay? So global contrast kind of does that, but it does it a little bit more gradually. Micro contrast will look at the black and gray line, but not the white line, because it doesn't see the white line anymore. So it's looking at the frequency between the black and the white, or I'm sorry, the black and the gray, and it's not looking at the wider frequency. So if you think of three lines as a wider frequency, black, gray, and white, regular contrast is going to try to separate all three of those at the same time. Whereas micro contrast, it's going to look at a smaller frequency, meaning it's not going to see that white line. It's only going to see the black and the gray. And then it's going to try and separate that black and gray line. So it's going to make the gray line, in this case, a little bit whiter, and the black line maybe a little bit blacker. So I hope that makes sense. So that's why when you adjust micro contrast, things look really crispy, right? Versus when you adjust global contrast, you get more contrast, but it's a little bit softer, more spread out, because it's looking at a wider frequency of tones. Versus micro contrast looks at a very tight frequency of tones, and only where the blacks and the grays are closer together. And then it tries to separate those blacks and grays a little bit more, whereas regular contrast tries to separate, we'll look at the whole range of tones or frequency, black, gray, and white. So I hope that makes sense. but micro contrast and that's all micro contrast, contrast, sharpness, sharpening tools. Because if you think about it, like if you've ever seen like sharpening tools, like when you over sharpen things, you start to get that halo effect, right? Where you can see sort of an outline around distinct objects. And that's because sharpening is even a tighter frequency than micro contrast. Sharpening looks at like between the black and the gray, it looks at like this black and dark gray. But then what happens is the whites and the other lines or tones on outside of that get pushed as well. So really there's no such thing as sharpening, okay? All there is really when you're editing photos is manipulating the tones at different frequencies. So sharpening is probably the highest frequency. And then if you look at the sharpening tool, like the unsharp mask, you can see you can adjust how many pixels, right? Left and right. So basically you're adjusting the frequency of the sharpening tool. But yeah, that's probably the simplest way to explain it. It's not a perfect explanation, but I think that should give you the gist of what I'm trying, what the difference is between the two. Okay, and oh, Eric is here. Hey, Eric. And Naturado says it does, thanks. Okay, good. All right. Let's go to, oh, I'm sorry, Maurice had an image. So let me see if I can download that real quick before I go any further. Whoops, that's the wrong page. Okay, it's downloading now. Okay, Maurice Samuel's virtual tours. Okay. All right, I got it. All right, let's go to, how are we doing on time? Wow, hour and a half. Okay, so I'll try and go through these a little bit faster. What's this one here? Paul Crisp. F9. Okay, what's again, I'm always looking for where this is leading to. So it's leading to a mound of dirt, but that's all right. And let me apply basic preset. I need to give this one a little bit of thought too. So this is a GX80 with a 12 to 32. Wow, nice little kit. It's kind of similar to the GR3, right? But with a zoom lens. We need to straighten it a little bit too. So that looks good. I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks good. And compositionally, I think we can get away with a much, much tighter crop. I like this little fence here. I like the lines here. And I like the yellow leaves. I don't want to lose those, but I don't want to... Let's try that. Okay, I like that crop. It's a little bit too much here on the left. I need to balance this just a little bit more. Okay, that feels better. There was just too much gap here behind this tree. Just a little bit more. Right there. Okay. Let's go with that. And then from here, it's pretty straightforward, I think. Let me just look at a couple of global adjustments. Okay. Just trying to get a feel for where all the lighting is. So I'm going to emphasize this yellow. I like these yellow leaves and maybe some of these lines. That must be a shadow. So we have light coming in from the right side. So those are shadows of the trees. Okay, that's cool. So we need to emphasize the light hitting the trees on this side. All right. Okay, I have a plan now. So we're going to work with, let's just work with just the yellows and oranges here. And just brighten those up a bit. And we'll stretch it there. Stretch it there. Okay. That can be smaller. A little bit of a push in the shadows. Oops. Got too much in the tree there. Maybe instead of doing it this way, what if we did it this way? Nah, this was better. Okay. And I'm going to put a negative control point on this trees. Okay. And then let's make a new control point just to highlight some of the let's see if we can separate that. We may not be able to. Yeah, not bad. Okay. I can go with that and that. So I'm just pushing the highlight slider because I don't want to push any of the midtones. Because I just want a little kiss of light from this sun coming from the right side. What if I do some there? Just a kiss of light here and there. Okay. Okay, and then let me pull globally some of the blacks in and just push. I can't do that. I need a control line. I need a little bit of a shadow push right there. Right here. No, I don't like those. Okay. Needs just a little bit though. Okay, and then globally the yellow is still a bit strong. And then control line up here. And we'll do a very, very tight luma mask and chroma mask. And just bring in, oh, wait. I need to do plus sign first. All right, there we go. And then we'll do a tight chroma and luma mask. Just bring the highlights in a bit. A little bit of clear view. And some micro contrast. And just pull the vibrancy down a little bit. Okay, and then one last thing, and then I'm done. Got a very light brush here. I'm just gonna make the road a little bit darker. All right, perfect. This fence just needs a little bit of pop. All right. Okay, so that's my final edit. I just think the square crop works. I just like the square crop on this. I would have liked to have brought out a little bit more behind the trees over here on the left side, but overall, I'm pretty happy with this edit. I think, yeah, it's a little more dynamic. The yellow leaves being a little brighter, a little bit of kiss of light along the tree line, and then bring some drama into the sky, and I think we're good. Okay. Paul went square also. That's something. Okay. Great mind thinks alike. alike, right? You went with a square on your edit too. That's cool. Let's see. Marie says, wow. All right. Let's see what we got here. Some architecture. So do a basic preset. And let's do a perspective, straighten things out. That didn't really work. So I'm just going to just straighten it a little bit. Okay. That's kind of right. And let me see what's in here. So I got, oh, I like these little window portals. I like this blue. All right, so I'm going to bring out the blues and these window portals and then try to minimize the rest of this. Gosh, they're so far apart though. Whoops. Let's try that. And then this window, this window. Bring that up. Let's tighten up the chroma because I really only want the blues. And probably loosen up the luma. Saturate that a bit. Okay, this one. Let's make it a little bit warmer. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Make these reds really strong. Oops. I brighten this up a little more. Okay. And this one. Okay. I don't know. Something is a little bit off with this. going to shift that a little bit. I just want this right side to match a little bit to the left. Okay. Oh, I love this window over here, but this one's cut. It'd have been nice to get both these windows in full. And I doubt that carries over. Let me just check. Oh, a little bit. A little bit there. A little bit there. I think that's all I can do here. There's a little bit of perspective distortion I would still need to fix on this. But essentially, I just tried to bring out the color. But something is, I'm going to do one more quick thing because it's just bothering me. It's the perspective. So I'm going to use this tool. What I want is, I want to square off. Let's see. I want to square off these two walls because they should be squared off. So that looks good. Let me see if that fixes my, yeah, all right, that's a little better. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to bring out the colors. You know, I like this blue here, and I like these kind of yellow windows. I just don't like what's in the middle here. I couldn't think of anything to do here. And we really didn't need this baseline wall here either. But I get it. You were trying to keep your line straight, so from your perspective, there's no way to not have that in the scene. But I think what I would have done is shot, what did you shoot this with? Oh, you had a 45 prime. So yeah, you're pretty much stuck. I would have liked to shot this a little wider and then did the perspective corrections and post-processing. So I could have got more of these windows here, and I probably would have done a vertical. Because if I didn't want these blue balcony over here on the left side, this side is kind of interesting right here, you know, architecturally speaking. So I would have worked on this side a little more with these little portal windows. I think this is really kind of a cool shot. But as it is, since we don't have the right perspective, this is the best I could do. All right, so thank you, Philip, for sending that in. And maybe there's something I'm not seeing there, obviously, right? Okay, let's see. We have another plant here from Philip. I think I did one from Philip, so I'm going to skip this one. Naturado. Okay, I think I did. Oh, no, you just asked a question. I haven't done your edit yet. So let's see. Yeah, I try to do just one edit from each person so I can get as many people as I can. Yeah, I'm going to hit the 2-hour mark, so I'm not going to be able to come back to that one, Philip. Maybe. Let's see. So let me apply basic preset. This is a fairly high ISO image. And your shutter speed 1/160th f8. I guess that's okay. I would have used a little faster shutter speed for a swimming duck because there's going to be some motion blur here. Yeah, a little bit, it looks like. So this is an interesting image. It's going to be tough to bring out the bird, but we'll try. I'm going to think about the composition while I'm editing. This is not going to be the final composition. See if I can bring the bird. Just in gradually. Okay, that helps. Okay. Still thinking about the composition. Sorry, but let me let me get some of the basics in. Just basically the water. I want to be darker, more contrasty. Okay. Might be able to do the same up here. Okay. Definitely need some straightening. I'm going to use less of the go with this. Okay. See if I can get a little more sparkle in the eye. Eyes and beak. Don't have to worry about talons because they are underwater. But we will do a little bit of warmth here. Okay. And let's get rid of this clipped highlight up here. Oh, there's a little lily over here too. That's cool. See if I can make that stand out a little more. Just bring the highlights in a bit. Okay, just a touch there. All right, I think I'm done. So let me export this one. That looks good. And this one's from Naturado. Nature Do. Oh, I keep saying Naturado, but it's Nature Do, right? Anyway, we'll do a before and after. Okay, so here's on the right the original, and this is the edit. So clearly all I had to do is really bring the bird up a little bit into the frame so it stands out a little more. And so I darken the water to kind of emphasize that, because you don't want to over brighten the bird, right? So darkening the surrounding area is sort of helps amplify that. And then if we zoom in, you know, the details are a little rough, right? Because there's very little here in the frame to work with. But I think DxO, again, just did a great job of bringing out what it could on the bird, the feathers, you know. Obviously, a little bit of editing helped. But I love this little frame. It'd have been nice if you could have just cropped in right here. But there's just not enough detail for me to do that. So I had to go with, you know, just a little bit wider crop. I could probably go in a little bit tighter, you know. If I just came in a little bit tighter this way, that could be another way to go. Something like that. So let's do that one full screen. I think I can zoom in a little. Yeah. So I think that looks really good. I love the water reflections here. But yeah, the before is just not, you know, it's not usable, right? But at least this looks pretty good, I think. All right. Last one here from Joanne. Gosh, sorry, Joanne. I don't know how you got last. And then we'll look at the edits that you guys did for me. Okay. I think what I'll do, let me get a basic preset. Actually, I kind of like, I don't know. The square crop may not do it. I think actually a really wide crop might work well here. Like a 16 by 9. And then let's straighten that out a bit. And just come in. Okay, I'm going to go with that. I don't know if I can do anything about this sky. It's so bright. But let's see what's left in there. Yeah, there's just no detail left. So instead of bringing detail, I don't know if I can even cool it off. Yeah, that's not looking too good either. I'll just do a little bit. Best I'm going to be able to do is get a hint of blue. And then let's globally, I need to warm this up a little bit more like this. And then let's bring in some shadow detail over here and here. Push the shadows, a little bit of contrast. And then a spot here. I'm going to bring that back. Let's spread that. Oops. Maybe we can spread it this way. Okay. Then a couple of spots of light. Maybe here. Oops. Just in these trees. It's not working. Why is that not doing what I think? Okay. And up here. Okay. Then globally, let's see if we can just drop the contrast like this. Do just a little bit of a lower contrast image this time. All right, let's do a quick comparison. So I'm going to export this one. I kind of lost what I was doing over here. Maybe a brush, just a light brush in here. All right, very subtle difference, but I feel better. Okay. You know, every time I move, I feel like I see just one more little thing. Right there and there. or here. All right, it just needed a little more contrast in there. All right, now I'm going to stop there, and then we'll get to your edits there. Okay, let's see. So reset that. So yeah, there's the original. And let's see. Whoops, I want to compare it. Hold on. I'm going to compare it to the output. Here we go. So there's the original. It's a little bit cool, so I had to warm it up. And then compositionally, I thought the wide crop, the 16:9 worked pretty well. I just had to kind of get into the path a little bit more. And there's the edit. So I think that looks pretty good. I softened it so it's a little bit lower contrast, but I definitely wanted to keep the dynamic range there because we have this really bright highlight here. So I had to create some blacks in different places in the images, like here and here and along here, best I can. Because over here, you know, it's not really completely black. These were already pretty good black, but in here it wasn't. And then this was way too dark because we had this really strong highlight here. So if we go back to my edit, you know, I wanted to add a little bit more highlight here to kind of match here. And then a little bit here, like this light is bouncing off and going over here. But I think, yeah, I think that's a nice scene. I wish the sky wasn't clipped, but I get why that would be a tough thing to do without bracketing. So that's nice. Now, where I kind of failed, I think, was over in here. I didn't really get the look that I wanted on the right side, but overall, I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, that's a nice scene. All it needed was just to get a little bit warmer and a crop. All right. Whew, boy, that was a lot. So let me check the chat. Chat looks like it's pretty quiet. Tob says, T-Dob says that the 1:1 aspect ratios are trending. Okay. And thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Nature Do, and good morning. Oh, who walked in? Oh, Robert's here. Hey, Robert. Good morning. Okay. Let's see. Where's my original edit? I'm going to find, this is the original image, I believe. So we will make this. Yeah. So let's see. Can I do this? Use as reference? Okay. So we'll start over here. So this one's from William. Okay, so 16:9 crop, roughly, maybe a 16:7. That works, and some little bit of blurring here. But I like that. I think it has an interesting effect on the look right here, the way you blurred it over here. And the tones are nice, and a little more contrast in the sky. Looks good. And then overall desaturated look, right? So yeah, that's cool. That's a cool edit. And this one, a little more crispy. But I think, yeah, this is without the crop, but a little bit more desaturated, but and a little more contrast without the blurring effect. So it has a more dystopian type look to it, right? I like that. Let me minimize mine a little bit. But yeah, I like this edit too. Okay, and then oh, this one went the opposite direction. This is a full-on saturation of the colors, but you really push the reds. I like it. Of course, you cropped out the casino that's over here, and then you push the highlights. Okay, I see where you're going there. That's interesting. Okay, nice edit. So let me go to just full screens now. I like it. Hmm. Now this is different. You know, this is another one where the front is sort of blurred. I'm sorry, right in here. I didn't even think of that, but I'm kind of liking that. This is the second edit that I've seen like this. Might even be the same person. I can't remember who did it before. But yeah, I kind of like that look. And then good job with the sky and everything, making that all nice and soft. Need to brush in a little bit in here and here. But yeah, so that was a lot of work, right? You're kind of brushing and stuff in and out of here. But overall, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool edit. Um, and then, oh, Paul has some feedback here. Rob, I was really tempted to turn this RHS into a disaster scene with a rig and yeah, that's funny. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Another one from Paul. Wow, you're just going crazy on my edit here or on my image. This got more of a neon type feel to it. I don't know if I like this one quite as much as the other ones you did. But it's almost like what do you call it? It's almost like a partial color because the bridge is completely black and white now. And then all that's left are just the blue and reds. So it kind of works, I think. It kind of works. Okay. And this one, wow. So this is a full-on, I like the crop. This is like a 16:7 or something, but yeah, good contrast, good colors, good strong sky. Everything's happening here. So that's a good edit. I like it. And then this one here, this is interesting because this is from Bert. I like how you brought the greens in because there is just the very slightest hint of green in the shot. I think it's coming from some of the artificial lighting that's there. But somehow you spotted that because that's tough to see. But the reds and green work well together. And then it'd have been nice to hold on. I'm sorry, I got a call. Hold on. Dave. Yeah, hey, how are you? Good, good. I'm right in the middle of the stream right now. Can I call you back in a minute? Okay, are you home now? Oh, okay. All right, give me about 15 minutes. I'll call you back. Okay, thanks. Goodbye. Okay, sorry about that. It's a friend of mine in the hospital, so I just had to take it. All right, let's see. Yeah, so I overall I like the greens and but the sky I'd have liked to seen a little work done on the sky to kind of get some cohesion here between the colors. But overall, it's a good edit. Or not, yeah, and this is from John. Okay, so this is a 16:9 crop, and you kind of left the, or you actually kind of emphasized the grain in this in the seam. So this gives it more of a, I guess, a more filmic look. Okay, not bad. I like the idea of not taking out the grain, but actually, because where's my original? It's somewhere around here. That's not too far off from what the original, but the grain is a little bit more exaggerated. All right, let's see. Ooh, so here we have a low-key black and white. So yeah, if we did a 16:9 or 16:7 crop, this would be perfect. This would be a perfect edit. If you want to do low-key black and white, that's nice. Oh, of course it's Marcel, right? Marcel's always, Marcel does a lot of low-key editing. But that looks good, Marcel. And then let's see, last one here from Garrett. Oh, this is a little bit more surreal. It almost looks like the aurora or something is going on in the sky. And I like how you spotted this little area here that's a little bit off. I mean, there's very, very subtle gradations and tones and things. And sometimes, and that's what I try to do, is I try to find them and exaggerate them or highlight them in the photo. And it looks like you caught one. That's cool. Or a few of them, actually. So this is nice. It's always nice to see, even if the edit overall is not like what I would do, but I do like to see how you guys, or what you guys see in the photo that I would have missed. Like I definitely missed this. I did see hints of green like back in here, but I missed this, and this is interesting. This is very interesting in here. Okay, good job, guys. Oh, David, that's who we just called, David. How you doing, David? So, all right, so that's it for today in terms of editing. So thanks everybody for sending that in. I really appreciate it. I hope you like my edits and got maybe learned or picked up a few ideas on how to use DxO to edit your own photos. And of course, if you don't have DxO, I have my affiliate links down below if you want to download a free trial and follow along, or even maybe buy one eventually. It's the editor that I use, obviously, because I can kind of just whip through all the different tools. Now, I haven't taken advantage of a lot of the tools that are in DxO. Once you kind of find your groove, right, you kind of stick with it. But I do need to learn to expand into particularly using the masking tools. And oh yeah, I guess it was T Dobbs or somebody asked me about the luminosity, and yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Because there's a way to do it, I think. But I have to give it some thought. But otherwise, thanks everyone. I'll be back on Sunday for a normal photo chat, and we'll talk about photography, and then next week more shopping and editing. So thanks again for joining me. We'll see you again soon, and especially thank you for sending your